So, Dynamite was last night, and we're just going to go through the review as we always do. The show opened up with Eddie Kingston and Samoa Joe's face-to-face segment. Now, Joe come out with both belts, his trios belts, on the men's world heavyweight championship. And the aura's just off the scale. I love it. When Eddie come out, and Joe immediately told Shivani to get out the ring. He said, Shivani, get out or I'll rip that toupee off. And Shivani's like pissed the entire night. It's great. Like an hour. So Joe basically goes on speaking to Eddie, and Joe's not wearing a suit, where Joe normally wears a suit in these type of situations, especially with the World Championship. And he says, listen, do you want to know why I'm not wearing a suit? Because of the time we're in, cheap heat, but then also Eddie, basically he doesn't respect Eddie, and, he's not going to show up for someone who's, below average human, he basically says. Goes on about the Hook stuff, saying, why did we do Hook to you? Why have you, of all people? Hook's over, and he basically says Hook was blessed being around championships with his dad being Taz, and he wanted to, basically teach him that it's not all like this. Basically, let him live with the pause. That's what he basically is trying to say. And he's just basically calling Eddie a disappointment, someone who doesn't always meet his expectations and his potential, like every ROH mentor's ever said to Eddie. And Eddie just takes it, as Eddie does. Eddie's not happy. Eddie gives Joe a lot of credit, but Eddie just calls him a joke and a sellout to what he is now. He says, I cannot believe this is the same Samoa Joe who used to be the ROH killer, essentially. And I get it. I like that. I like that angle. He weren't as angry as I thought he'd be. I thought Eddie would really be angry, but he wasn't. And he basically calls out Joe, which he did similar to the Jericho one a few years ago, where he says, listen, I don't want this Joe. I want Samoa Joe, the ROH killer. Essentially, he wants ROH Joe. And then I think Eddie cuts it short, because Eddie goes, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I know you want to watch wrestling, so Joe, don't show up like you are now. Show up as that ROH, because if you don't, I'll absolutely murder you, essentially. And then it finished the segment. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I thought the promo nailed what it needed to be. And yeah, Eddie wasn't ridiculously aggressive, but he got the point across. I like this promo a lot. I thought Joe's demeanor, just Joe's whole demeanor in this is just great. He's just not phased, but you can tell he's offended. It's weird. It's a really good act, and I don't know how to describe it. But Eddie was great. Again, there wasn't a lot of venom in it, but you could tell everything he said he meant, as Eddie does. So after this, it was the rest of the Ops backstage, and they're basically, talking about, what happened. They were out Ring of Honor or something, and they're saying, look, everyone wants the trios match, and they don't think anyone's on a level besides the Dark Order. And it feels like they're just picking the Dark Order just to piss Hangman off, which they do make the link. So they give the Dark Order a match tonight, but because it's not Joe fighting, it's Hook instead. The titles aren't up for the line. It's just an exhibition, but it was basically an eliminator, which I like that idea. Switch one member so it's an eliminator, not a title match. I enjoyed that. But Dark Order in the big 25, what are we doing? Next was Okada versus Pac in the Continental Classic in the Gold League. Now, Okada lost his last match against Kyle Fletcher, and Pac won his last match against Mike Bailey. This match was excellent. I really enjoyed this one. I thought Okada looked solid, but made Pac look phenomenal here. Pac looked really strong. The fastest I think we've seen Pac. Debatably, no, this people match, he was quicker probably. But the match, he was doing some sick DDTs. He was aggravating Okada, where he just slaps Okada in the face early on in the match, and it clearly aggravates Okada. Okada tries to, kind of get control, but it doesn't really work. Throughout the match, he's trying to set up the Rainmaker and stuff, and Pac's dodge games this match is phenomenal. It's really good. Pac works in the Brutalizer in the match. He works in some beautiful kicks. There's this one move, I don't know what it's called. I don't think I've ever seen it. It's reminiscent of, I think it's Dorada. It's one of the luchadors, and he puts the legs between the head. Well, yeah, the head between the legs, and then he twists it and walks off. I forget who does it. Remind me. But Pac did this one where I think he just stomped on his head. It was weird. It was sick. I really enjoyed that move. He done something like that. It was really cool. I really enjoyed that one. But the kicks Pac was doing, some of the aerial stuff he was getting in there, it got worked outside the ring for a period, but it come back. And the finish was essentially just a roll up. There was when he hit it, there was a brain buster in the match. That was cool, but the finish was a roll up by Okada due to a dodge because Pac went for the aerial splash. Okada moved out the way and then reversed it into a surprise roll up, giving Okada the first win of his AEW Continental Classic run this year. So I really enjoyed the match. After the match, Pac looks visibly like he's blown away by it, kind of like Okada last week. And I kind of like that. I think... I don't feel like I've got so much to say about the match, but I really enjoyed it. I really did. It was phenomenal. Great C2 match. And it makes me want to go back and watch the previous match a few years ago. Dynasty, I think it was. Or who was it? I forgot what pay-per-view. I forgot. I'm talking about the last video. So I really want to go back and rewatch the Pac versus Okada match again, but... Really impressed. I thought Okada looked solid, but Pac stole the show in this match. It was more of a Pac showing than an Okada one. So after the match, I still think this is weird. We had not 4 backstage segments, but 3 backstage segments back to back. So after the match, we have Briscoe, and he's basically calling out Garcia and announcing that he's going to have the match, the TNT belt against Danny Garcia at Cardiff, which, yes, I will be there. So I'm very happy about that. That'll be a good match. Then after that, they have one with Ricochet and the GOA, the Demand. And Ricochet is calling out people, all the indie promotions are asking Ricochet to represent this belt because, he's so good and stuff like that. And then he's given the first match of this national belt to Dalton Castle on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. And it kind of just makes the belt feel dead on arrival. I thought Dalton Castle is kind of entertaining, but he's not I don't want to see Ricochet fight him for the belt. I feel like this kind of... It just diminishes my interest in the belt, which is kind of a shame, but it is what it is. The stack in that Ring of Honor card. It comes back and it's the Conglomeration. Now it's Conglomeration and Mark Briscoe's going on about, the ROH, not the ROH, the Continental Classic stuff. And they basically confirm that Cassidy and Roderick Strong are going to be facing each other in the Continental Classic. And then it's trying to sweet talk Roddy in some way. And Roddy's just flips out and goes, I'm not part of the Conglomeration. I'm going to go in there and absolutely destroy you, Orange Cassidy. Cassidy wanted to make it Conglomeration rules, which is no chops. And Roderick just is disgusted and he goes, I'm going to break your back, and storms off. So I like the fact that this is still a running bit, especially that Kyle's not there, because Kyle was his only reason, but I kind of like that. And then after that as well, we find out that Darby Allin is in the hospital currently. I think just being Darby's caught up to him. He's non-stop. Everyone knows that. And the stuff that Darby does is insane. They're going to announce his just basic what's going to go happen with him with the Continental Classic this year. I don't really want to say anything about it because I don't know if he'll be confirmed or not. But I think... they've said they'll announce it on Collision this Saturday, so we'll go from there. I hope Darby is fit because Darby's great. I like Darby a lot. After this is by far match of the night here. It's one of the reasons I love the Continental Classic. It is Kevin Knight versus Kyle Fletcher in the Gold League. Now, Kevin Knight got the surprise win over Darby last week, and Kyle Fletcher got the surprise win over Okada this week. This match was straight up phenomenal. I adore this match. This is one of my favourite TV matches of the year. And Kevin Knight, I mean, good God, what a wrestler. I've always said Kevin Knight's a great wrestler, especially if you see him in person. I've seen Kevin Knight in person 3 times now. Not twice. I think I've seen him once or twice now in person. And he's great. He steals the show in person, but on TV, yeah, he's good. But I feel like you're there to see Speedball, especially with Jet Speed. And just that match, last match against Darby, again, that coast to coast is insane. This match against Fletcher just takes the cake. This guy is going to be one of the futures of AEW, and is the now, really. They should be putting a lot of stocks in him. I want Kevin Knight to kind of get a singles run out of this, because it clearly is the way forward. I adore this match. Kyle Fletcher in this match does his job perfectly. It's a full sprint. The match feels like an entire sprint. Kyle Fletcher gets aggravated at the top. He's trying to taunt in front of Kevin. Kevin's got a bit of attitude in this match. I kind of like that. He does the Okada thing where he fakes out the chops. And then that aggravates Kyle. And then Kyle does a thing where he's going, come on, Kevin. And he basically kicks him disrespectfully. So then Kevin takes him down and then steps over him disrespectfully. I love that little show of attitude. I love that. Because he's still the face, but I love that. Kevin Knight's moves are just insane. Absolutely insane. One of the air he gets on springboards is nuts. Nuts. Kyle Fletcher clearly has the power advantage, and I kind of like that they really stuck with that. The striking advantage is clearly with Fletcher. But when Knight just takes it to the air, and Knight's just, the kick out in this match, it really it kept building and building and building. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Kevin Knight does do another coast to coast, and it is, again, perfection. Again, it was the springboards for this one. The air he gets. The strikes, Kevin Knight's strikes are good, but it feels like his focus is obviously more the splashes, and that's completely fine. Definitive high flyer. But, like, I feel like if Kevin Knight can develop the strikes a bit more, that's it. That's the guy complete. It's just Kyle Fletcher. That was clearly the advantage. And it feels like the intelligence of Fletcher, you could see, like, he went out and, he goes outside, and then, to kind of recalculate himself while Kevin Knight stays in the ring. And he's just, you could see the gears going in Fletcher's head. I love Kyle Fletcher, I've made that clear. Yeah, just throughout the match, I mean, Kyle lands like a hidden blade. I don't think it's specifically a hidden blade, but it was close to a hidden blade. I love when stuff like that happens. Kevin Knight, again, he lands some DDTs. The lariats, Kevin Knight. I like the lariats. I really like Kevin Knight's lariats. But the finish, he goes for the coast to coast. And then he goes for the DTT, lands all this stuff, and then Kyle goes for the powerbomb. Kevin Knight still gets, he goes for the power. Kevin Knight gets the knees up, and then Kyle goes for the powerbomb. Kevin Knight gets out. Then the finish is that Kyle does get a brainbuster, and that obviously finishes Kevin off. Which, honestly, I don't feel like I'm doing this match justice. This was phenomenal. If you're gonna watch any match of the Continental Classic, this has to be in the top lists. This was, in my opinion, the best match of the Continental Classic by a substantial mile. And that's not like a light thing to say. It's insane. Kevin Knight to the moon. Next, after this match, Don comes out with the mic and basically starts calling out the Bucks, but then it goes to break and it comes back. It's weird. But he comes out and he's calling out the Bucks, saying, he can forgive a lot of things. He said he can forgive someone killing someone, which he's done before. But he can't forgive the Bucks, and he says the Bucks forget they've got their money, and Josh Alexander and Hechicero have the bags of money. And then the Bucks come out, because they say dare to come get it. They come out, they run down, and then they get jumped by the rest of the Don Callis family. Which the big thing is that Okada comes out, hits Matt Jackson with the Rainmaker, and flips off Nick Jackson. Like, this has been built for a while, but the fact that it's happened nuts to me. I love Okada in the Bucks, I'm kind of sad about that, but also, I just love heel Okada. And again, I'm happy that the Elite got a segment that isn't PTE Roundup. After this happens, Jurassic Express run out, and they try and make the save. Okada low blows Luchasaurus. And then after that, Kenny runs out. Now, Kenny runs out, does a lot of the saving, and then Kenny Okada have the ring together. Oh my god. And then Okada tries to hit Kenny with the Rainmaker. He misses it. Kenny gets the Snapdragon. Kenny looks fired up, and he sets up the V-trigger to Okada, and then Okada gets dragged out the ring. And then it basically is just, one of those stand tall moments. So they're teasing Kenny and Okada again. Yes. No notes. Perfect. So after that, we got the women's tag team tournament semi-final between Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa versus Megan May and Marina Shafir in a holiday hardcore death match. And this is the semi-final. Whoever wins this gets to face the Babes of Wrath, which is Willow and Harley in the final. Now, my biggest prediction throughout this entire women's tag was that Megan and Marina would win this. I am baffled to say that they never. And I'll talk about that in a second. The match was fun. The match was really good. It was quite back and forth. The unison both teams showed, especially Toni and Mina. They looked great. The deathmatch stuff was okay. I feel like they didn't work it enough, but I kind of liked it. I feel like the bottle smashing on Marina was cool, but they could have done more with that. The chair stuff, I feel like the candy cane was the best bit, where Mina's got Megan with the candy cane. It's like over her face, dragging her back. Like a cross face, but it's wrapped in barbed wire. I love that. They go through two tables. Megan puts two people through tables. Well, Toni puts Megan through a table with Storm Zero. And then Megan puts Mina through a table. Mina Shirakawa was excellent this match. The funniest thing, I don't know why this is in a death match, a frying pan. And then doing the thing where it's like the chops, like Sheamus stuff. But Marina is hitting Mina Shirakawa right in the stomach with a frying pan, and Mina's screaming out in pain. The screams from Mina Shirakawa this match are insane, and I thought she was really good in this match. I really enjoyed Mina in this match. The finish was Santa Claus comes out, and I knew that this was happening straight away. He comes out and he's giving Marina Shafir a present, and Marina Shafir tries to take it out. And he puts a middle finger through, and it's Luther. Luther's back, and he's flipping off Marina and setting up the finish, distracting her essentially. I'm happy Luther's back, and that's dumb wrestling, and I love that. That was great. I love stuff like that. I thought the match was fun. Like I said, I feel like it could have been a bit more, but I had no problem with it. It was really fun. I enjoyed it wasn't intense, but I'm not expecting it to be. It was It felt like a death match, but it feels like for what they were hyping it up, obviously it was going to be a bit more. But there's no problem. Really fun match. Probably the best out of the entire tournament so far, which I'm really happy to say. Regarding the finish, the result, I don't think this is the right call. I don't. I feel like having face versus face in the tag team final next week, I don't agree with. I feel like Megan Bain specifically, feel like this tournament was kind of built for her and Penelope. And maybe they're taking Marina out because they need more depth out of stuff. But I enjoyed Marina in the women's division. And the thing is with Marina Shafir, for me, she's so good, and no one can deny that. But now that Marina's in the women's division and she's shown some sort of interest, unless you take her completely out, which is going to be noticeable, you just got to belt her up. And it feels weird to not do that. So I feel like the tag belts were made for that. I think Megan will get them. Megan and Penelope will get them eventually, obviously. But I don't know. I feel like I personally feel like that's the wrong call, and that's not against Tony and Mina. If Tony wins the belt, which most likely will happen, it elevates the belt instantly, which is good. But it's also, I don't know. I just feel like we all know Tony doesn't need a belt no more. So Willow's deserving of a belt. Everyone knows that, but I don't think Willow and Harley as a tag team fits. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't know why. I love Harley Cameron. I love both girls with hair and Willow, but I just feel like it doesn't feel like Tony and Mina make sense as a tag team. This one feels like just thrown together because Harley gets thrown together with everyone. She's had Anna Jay, Statlander. I thought the Statlander one was the best one. Stuff like that. I feel like Willow can work with anyone, but I don't know. I feel like Willow's just so much better as a singles, and I just kind of, I don't know. I feel like it should still be Megan and Marina, but I was pleasantly surprised. I'll say that. I really shocked me. I didn't expect it to finish. So after this match, it was a vignette with the Triangle of Banders calling out Jamie Hayter and Statlander for making the save last week on Collision. Now, then it cuts to Jamie and Statlander, and they're basically saying, look, we'll team up. We're not friends, but we've got a common enemy, so we'll team up. And then Jamie goes, and then after that, we can talk about, some repayment in a sense. And Statlander goes, what? And then they just look at the bells, and then they kind of face off. Yes, get Jamie in the title scene again. Yes, all for it. And Statlander versus Jamie Hayter. Yes, perfection. Honestly, ridiculously thrilled. So after this, it's the Dark Order backstage answering the Ops Trios match, and they accept it and they walk into the ring, and Evil Uno's just rambling, going, yeah, this is great, it's big for the Dark Order's back, and Hangman walks past them ready to go and attack, essentially, like he did last week with Swerve, and Alex Reynolds stops him and he goes, look, I know what you've got going on, blah blah blah, but don't ruin this for us. And Hangman goes, fine, I owe you that, but as soon as that match is finished, I'm there, I'm attacking. And I kind of like that they, always give Hangman and the Dark Order stuff. They're not friends no more. I think that's kind of more than, settled. It's kind of sad that that's the case because I feel like they fell out with him because of the heel run. But he's obviously, he's kind of skirting the line now. He looks demented. But, I don't know. I just feel like they could have had more of a role to play. But I'm not going to spend so much time talking about Dark Order in 2025. Come on. After this, it was a break and then comes back and it's Renee Paquette and Mercedes is there, and Mercedes obviously gets the interview. She immediately asks about the start match. Mercedes is just like, listen, just deflects it. Mercedes clearly cracking, and then she's talking about the Ring of Honor match she's got with Red Velvet, the rematch. And Mercedes is immediately dismissive, saying, why do I have to do this? I beat her already, stuff like that. So I think this means the belt loss run is about to happen, and this is going to be sensational. I cannot wait for this. So I feel like Mercedes is Mercedes. I like Mercedes, but everyone's waiting for her to drop the belt, and I feel like now it's about to happen. I don't know why. I don't think she wins that Ring of Honor match. Makes more sense for her to lose, but I think that's what's going to happen. So after this, again, I really realized during the show how many backstage segments there are, and I'll mention that later. FTR are there, and they're complaining about what happened on Collision with the Bang Bang Gang, and Stokely's just pissed. But then Dax basically challenges them, saying, "Look, we're going to be there on Collision. I dare you to come out and touch my belt again." So, yes, all for it. Love the Bang Bang Gang, and I love heel FTR. So, this works for me. I'm a fan. Now, after this, it's the Ops' match with the Dark Order, and I will say I don't like how long this match. Not that it was a long match. I feel like this should have been shorter. I feel like it gives made the Ops look weaker than they could have looked. Not that they look weak, it's, but I just don't know. I feel like this should have been a simple, easy win, and they made it a bit more difficult than what it was. Like, in the match, Evil Uno gives Hook and Shibata a double DDT. Why is Shibata taking a double DDT from Evil Uno? What's going on? But John Silver's still a gremlin. He just reacts to every single chop. I feel like they're making Hook look weak, which good, because I'm not the biggest Hook guy. So I feel like that's a good way to go with Hook. The match is just basically the Dark Order getting their asses kicked, besides Evil Uno for like five seconds. But yeah, Dark Order get the win. It's Powerhouse Hobbs giving a backbreaker and a pin. Solid. And then there's not really much to say about the match. It's nice to see Dark Order again. It's just... I don't know, there's not much to do with them, and you're putting up against the Ops. The match went on for like, I don't want to say 10 minutes, but it felt like 10 minutes. And just, for something like that, it was Shibata, Hobbs, and now Hook, they're trying to present Hook as a big deal. Why is it going on that long? I just feel like that could have been so much easier. But, whatever. So, after that, Hangman obviously comes out, and Hangman starts taking them out, and then Hangman gets them set up and sets Hobbs up for the buckshot lariat, and then gets taken back by security, which is dumb. And then after that, he beats off all security, which is great. And then at this point, Hook's gone. So like throughout this entire segment, Hook's gone, and the commentary do mention that, but they don't draw a lot of attention to it in the segment. It's mainly Shibata, Hobbs, and the rest of the Ops Dojo. So I feel like they kind of try and present Hook as a pure coward, and I kind of like that. I feel like that's a good way to go with Hook, with a guy who's not ready for this, but he's got to try and act like he is. I kind of like that idea. But yeah, Hangman beats them all the way and then goes out looking for them. But after that, it's backstage. Now, I thought it was the other way around, so that's why I cut it. It's the Don Callis family. It's Okada, Don, and Kyle with Renee, and they basically ask him what happened with the Elite. And then, for some reason, Okada blames Takeshita. And Don actually says Takeshita, like, he's saying Takeshita wasn't there, and he was like, Don goes, well, to be fair, the guy's training. And then Takeshita comes out and goes, I'm right here, and then fronts Okada, they're back at it. But then Kyle quiets it down, saying, hey, look, I'm confident we're all together, we're all the family, stuff like that. Basic promo, just favouring the plot. Good. One of the best feuds. All for it. And then after that, it was a break. Then it comes back, and it's the Hangman promo after the segment. And I love this promo because he echoes what every fan is saying. Hangman is pissed. For 3 years, he's chased that belt. 3 years. And he looks demented again. And he goes, I've beat Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, all these people. And the person who cost me my championship is Hook. And he just loses his mind. I love that. I love the fact that he said that. Like, they're really making it out the way for Hook to be in the central play for the main event, and everyone doesn't buy it. So I kind of like the fact that they're really having the wrestlers go for that too. Hangman calls them out, saying, next week, look, the Ops, you better show your faces, because I'm going to run through you, and if not, I've got someone's with me, and you know who's coming for you. So it's like, I love the fact that, again, he will not mention Swerve by name. It feels like he's so ashamed and reluctant to admit that he's getting help from Swerve. I love that. There's no Swerve this week, which was quite interesting, but there probably is a reason. I really like how they're really going about it with Hangman not mentioning Swerve by name. I feel like it's a subtle detail, but I really appreciate it. I feel like that goes a long way. So, after this is the main event of the match. It's the Continental Classic Blue League match, and it's Claudio Castagnoli versus Jon Moxley, Death Riders Civil War. Now, I and the commentators during the entrances, Moxley only has Marina in his entrance, but then Claudio gets Yuta, and it looks like Garcia there too. So, the match itself was brutal. I really enjoyed how brutal it was. There wasn't like an insane match, but you know what it needed to be. It was hard hitting. Moxley's game plan was insane. Like, he's going out there trying to outstrength Claudio, and it feels like a lot of the time in this match, he's trying to Claudio's kind of keeping his emotion in check, but when it lets out, that's what kills Moxley essentially. So like Moxley gets split open quite early on, shock. But also stuff like there's Claudio's giant swing to the steps outside the ring. I love when he does that. Moxley's trying to consistently go for the Bulldog choke. I got hyped. I started jumping up and down in my seat when Claudio got the Scorpion leg lock, because obviously that's what Kyle and Darby got Moxley to tap out with, and they really teased that. Claudio gets a lot of... The uppercuts Claudio delivers in this match are phenomenal. A lot of strikes. They do have a lot of moments where they're going head-to-head. I love that. The imagery in this match is great. And just overall, this match was... A lot of people... Renee, one thing I will say, Renee was there in the intro, and I kind of liked that. I was happy about that. I thought that's when the turn was happening. The turn did not happen. But I feel like, as a match, Claudio went about it perfectly. Mox did too. I feel like this match could have used a bit more time. And, could have had a bit more build to it. But I like the fact that it felt a bit more contained. Because it kind of suits the situation of... Claudio is basically in the same group as this guy, so they don't want to go all out, but that's what the whole group's about. The stuff just that Claudio pulls off, it's mainly the hard-hitting strikes. Moxley tries to do it. There's a bit where Moxley's like, Claudio hits him with it, and Moxley goes, no, and then they start, going at it, elbows to the head and stuff. But every time, it just feels like Claudio outmatches Moxley in every single department, and I love that. I really enjoyed that. Claudio gets the win. And it kind of it was weird to see, because Moxley's he's not pissed, but he's just, you can tell he's disappointed in himself, and I feel like he can see the writings on the wall. The Death Riders come out, Marina's the only one who checks on him. The rest are going up to Moxley and congratulating him. You can see Yuta giving him, a tap, but that's it. Brian on commentary makes a great call, where they go, when we were in the Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley was just assumed leader because I never beat him. Claudio's just beat the guy. So I loved how that was a phenomenal call by the greatest ever. So I was really happy that they'd done something like that. But I feel the turn's got to happen. They did a backstage segment after it, online exclusive. And it's just, he just walks back and they're all in a room just doing press-ups, and they all give themselves credit. So it was just weird, but I just thought that was funny. As a match, it was great. It really was a great match. Really enjoyed the Dynamite this week. I thought it was... All the matches were great. I really mean that. All the matches were great. Besides maybe the Dark Order versus the Ops, maybe, but that was just because I didn't count that as an actual match. Shouldn't have been. Should have just been a device, but they kind of treated it as a match. There was a bit too many backstage segments, and I never say that normally because I'm a fan of backstage segments. But I feel like you could have cut one or two, and then you could have had a bit more time for one of the matches, or even another match. You could have got an actual elite match in there. Or even another Continental Classic match. Maybe that's what's happened where Darby wasn't cleared, so they had to, put a lot of segments in. But I assume that'll balance out in Collision. I assume Collision will be stacked again with matches. But as a Dynamite, I thought it was excellent. Again, that Kevin Knight match is phenomenal. That's match of the tournament so far. It's not close. But the Okada Pac match is great. Claudio Moxley's so hard hitting, and the women's tag semi was great. Again, I don't agree with the result on that, but I thought it actually was great. What did you think of Dynamite this week? What was your favourite moment? And what do you think of Kevin Knight's Continental Classic run so far? Because, by God, what a worker.